Are they still over there? And, oh, we have one student left in there.
Bernie, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's complete pandemonium out there. I've never seen so many people. I couldn't even park. The whole upper level was full, the road going down was full.
Yes.
I've never seen it like that.
Yes.
That time of day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, everyone's leaving at 3.
And day one.
And day one.
So Bernie, on our end, we're ready to start on this end. I was gonna see if John Sloas was gonna be joining you here in a moment.
John was out. I just saw John, he was here, but they're still matching kids up to their parents. And I forget his name, the gentleman who set up the tech for me. He thought there might be another board member coming here in Elkhurst.
No, she's down here. That's Mary. She's here. So, John. Okay, so.
It's still loud here, so I'll mute unless you need me to talk, until it quiets.
Very good. So, this is a unique meeting. It's the first meeting of the year, and we had 3 board members come off. We have 3 prospective board members we're going to be looking at for your consideration as the existing board. The 3 existing remaining board members are Bernie there in Oakhurst with us, Ian, and Mary. We don't have a chair at this point because our chair was one of the people that came off. So I am acting chair until we get to the part of the agenda where we select officers. So I hope everybody's okay with that. So we are about 5 minutes after 3 or so I say ready, set, go. Let's call the meeting to order.
All right, let me hit go live right now.
Okay. Tell me when you're on there, Eric.
Yeah, okay, should be good.
Thank you. So calling the meeting to order, Western Sierra Charter Schools on September 10th, 2024. And it is 3:07. If you could record that, please, Holly. And would you please do a roll call for our 3 remaining board members?
Bernie McGoldrick,
Here.
Mary Mellon, here, Ian Whitney.
Here. Very good. Thank you. In your packet, board members, are the minutes from our last meeting in June. You could look that over, and I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes when you're ready to do that. Okay, Ian.
My second, Mary Mellon.
Everyone, second. Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions in regards to the minutes? Okay, hearing none. Please do a roll call. Holly?
Bernie,
I vote aye.
Mary. Aye. Ian.
Aye. Very good. Thank you so much. Minutes are approved. Oh, I went ahead, didn't I? I approved minutes. We need to approve the agenda first. Sorry, got out of order. So now we've approved the minutes from the last meeting. We need to also approve today's agenda. When you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay. Second. Ian, second. Any questions or discussions about the agenda? Hearing none. Holly?
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary. Aye. Ian.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, dear existing board members, I'd like to introduce to you 3 prospective colleagues for this esteemed body. And these folks come highly recommended through various staff and folks that we know within our program. We have 2 open parent representative spots for Endeavor, and one open parent representative spot for Oakhurst. And those folks are here with us today. I'm happy to introduce and recommend to you Cody Hayes from Oakhurst, of the three, since I am an Oakhurstian myself. I know Cody the best, and his kids are at our school, so I guess that at a minimal level qualifies him. And Cody's an outstanding contributor to our community, highly respected, great businessman, super cool dad, and I am so glad to have him be a part of this. So Cody Hayes, and I'm gonna ask these folks to also say a few words about themselves in a moment after I'm done introducing them. Lisa Katzkowski, I know less, but Lisa is well respected and loved here within the school community. A variety of staff here put Lisa forward as a great choice to be contributing here. So Lisa, thank you for your willingness to see your way through to this, be a part of things here. And then also Jason Smith, one of our Endeavor parents, also very respected within the community here at Endeavor in Fresno. So happy to bring these people forward to you. If we could maybe just we'll go in that same order, just have you folks just give a brief introduction of who you are.
Cody Hayes, and I'm from Oakhurst, born and raised. I was a homeschool student my entire life, and I've been recently years. She's in 7th grade. She's been there since kindergarten, and we love the school, we love our community. Very happy to be here today. Hope to be a good contributor possible.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Lisa Paxkowski, and this is our family's, I think, 4th year here at Endeavor. We have 3 daughters. Our oldest is Monica, she's in 7th grade, Emma's in 4th, and Olivia is in 1st grade. It's our 5th year of homeschooling, and we have found a community that we love here at Endeavor. And I'm just excited to be learning a little more about the nuts and bolts about the charter school and homeschooling, and also hopeful to be a great contributor.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, my name is Jason Smith. I have 2 children that go to Endeavor. I have a daughter that's in 8th grade and a son that's in 4th grade. I'm originally from Tennessee, moved here in 2019, and we started last year was our first year having our students come here, our kids be students here. And last year was great, and I'm looking forward to this year and being able to contribute to this charter school by being part of the board if possible.
So thank you. Of our existing board members, before we go into closed session, would you have any questions to put to one or all of these folks? Okay. Hearing none. Very good. Thank you, folks, for introducing yourselves. And we will go into closed session now. And that means that I think probably I'm staying since I'm recommending the people here. Everybody else, there's an annex here. Be right back with you. Thanks.
So if you recall, we're, all right, good.
live again here, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to open session. Holly, would you please note that it is 3:16? And item 6 is report out from closed session. The board discussed the candidate prospective board members. Item number 7 is board action to either approve or decline the new board members, and if we could just run them as a slate, I think that's good. So we are bringing to you then Cody Hayes as parent representative from Oakhurst, Lisa Patskowski as parent representative from Fresno, Jason Smith as parent representative from Fresno also, and entertain a motion.
Ian Whitney, I move to approve all the prospective board members as a slate.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Mary Mellon, I second.
Well, thank you. Is there any further discussion before we go to action? No? All right. Holly?
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Ian.
I,
Very good, wonderful, thank you, and welcome aboard. Now we'll tell you the truth. Just kidding. We won't tell you the truth. Okay, item number 8 is selection of board officers. And so our bylaws call for a chair, a board chairperson, board secretary, and a board treasurer. And so treasurer has in the past seemed to make sense that that's who is hands-on working with all of our finances. That's Jody Jeffers, who's obviously our CBO. Secretary on the board in the past has been the person who serves as the minute keeper here for us, and that is Holly Ship, currently at this time serving in that capacity. And I have reached out and asked if Ian would be willing to serve as chair of the board. And so I would like to nominate these 3 folks to serve in these roles for the coming year. Do I have any, before we go to motion, is there any questions about that? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Then I will entertain a motion to approve as a slate Ian Whitney as chairperson of the board, Holly Ship as secretary for the board, and Jody Jeffers as treasurer for the board.
So moved by Bernie McGolder.
Excellent, thank you.
This is Mary Mellon, second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Holly?
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Ian.
I abstain.
Oh,
It's still,
sorry.
we're still good as far as a quorum with 3 board members.
So you can call me both standing, because it's on this.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Right. So everybody will be taking,
Everyone except for Ian.
except for Ian, he's abstaining.
Okay,
Right.
so I have Bernie, Mary, Cody.
Aye.
Lisa. Jason.
Aye.
It carries with Ian abstaining as he is on slate. So thank you for that. And now I respectfully and happily hand off to Ian as chair of the board. Rest of the meeting.
Thank you, I apologize for throwing a curveball.
No.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and move on to action item number 9, which is the selection of staff liaison to the board for 2024 to 2025. I believe this is my item.
Yes, and so our bylaws call for a staff member from Oakhurst and a staff member from Fresno to participate on the board, but not as board members. They're not voting members of the board. but they are invited and involved in participating in the meetings in regards to the discussion, obviously representing staff. And so this year, we would like to bring to the board John Sloas.
And he just popped into the Zoom meeting. I think he might be zooming in from his office.
Okay, there he is. Did you hear anything I just said, John?
Am I up?
Yeah, no, there's nothing unless you want to say something. I was just introducing the board to staff liaisons. And so you as staff liaison for Oakhurst. Yep.
Here I am.
Here
In
you are.
Oakhurst.
Lit all your glory. And Grace Reeve for staff liaison for Fresno. Is that correct, Grace?
I think so.
Very good. So, okay.
Are there any questions before we leave? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the selection of staff liaisons. Would you guys a slate as well? If there's any objections there.
This is Mary Mellon, motion to approve selection of staff liaisons.
Do I have a second?
This is Bernie with a second.
Bernie,
Ernie, I thought we could have a roll call, please.
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Jason.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 10, hearing of persons wishing to address the board. Have there been any requests to address the board?
No. Received any care to say no?
No.
Okay.
Moving on to number 11, written communication, same question. Do you have any written communication?
Nothing.
No, nothing. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention for new board members, if you can speak kind of loudly so Bernie can hear you, on the recording. Bernie, just let us know if we aren't talking loud enough.
Oh, he's
Well, you're muted.
You're not talking loud enough.
Okay.
We don't hear you, Bernie, just so you know.
Moving on to number 12, the warrant reports for June 14th, 2024 through August 28th, 2024. And I believe that's Jody.
Yes, Jody, I've asked Jody, this is always his item, and he usually has a few things to point out. I've asked him to maybe share a little bit more fully since we have 3 new board members just to understand what's on this document.
Sure. So, first of all, I'll give the design of the document here so that you can know what you're looking at. From left to right, you have the columns. That's a check number, the actual warrant that was issued. Then you next to that, the check date. Then the pay to the order of, so that will be obvious what that is. And the fund object, hyphen object, 100, 109, and 169. Those are 3 different funds. Those 100 is Mountain Homeschool, 109 is Glacier High School, and 169 is Endeavor.
Jody, did you want to share your screen? I just realized I didn't give you permission. You have it now.
I can.
Getting back into the routine, sorry.
So, just moving on because I thought it would just be, Okay, so here it is up on the screen. So fund object, I just explained those. So 100, 109, and 169. Those numbers are just picked because that's what's available in the system when they were created. This goes to the SAC system, which is the system that CD uses for all the different schools. And Madera County Office of Education is our back office. So we actually utilize Madera County to do our the nuts and bolts of our accounting. We do all the approvals and everything at our office, but then they actually do the work of issuing the checks the way we tell them to, and then doing the accounting. So this is in the format that's through Escape, and then it goes into SACS. So the things you see with fund and object are the expected ones that all the rest of the districts and schools in the state of California use. So then the object next to that, so fund and then object, is just showing the object. In this case, it could be equipment, services, and they're pretty obvious. You don't really have to explain each one because, like in this case, you have nylon duffel bags.
So that's gonna be equipment under $500, and then you'll see services will be $5,800. That's not really crucial, I think, to your understanding of what's going on, because you already know who the payee is, therefore you probably figure out what it's all about. And then on the comment, gives a pretty good comment on about what it really is that we're spending money on. Sometimes it's very detailed, like Chewy gummy bears or something, you'll see that down to that level. Sometimes it's a little less than that, but we like a lot of comment there. And then the amount in the next column over is the amount that goes to each one of those items, like 100 in this case, gets the $33.06, and then, so 100 being Mountain Homeschool, 109 being Glacier High School gets $13.03, and then Endeavor gets the $54.10. So, and then it's wrapped up on the rightmost column by what the total amount of the check is. So there's a lot of information on this sheet, but it's pretty detailed, and that's a format that's been useful, I think, to the board. If you need that changed, let me know, we can show it in a different way. I think this one, sometimes it might be a little too detailed, but in this case, it's 25 pages worth of stuff.
I'm sorry, you want to talk about why they would see one item, but
Yes.
with three, yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna go into it in more detail later, but you'll see, you're talking about like how.
The allocation, why they see three,
Allocations.
yeah.
Yeah, so, we operate as 3 schools, but one entity is operating the 3 schools. So when our purchasing department is doing everything from one location, and so we're buying things that Endeavor needs, we're buying things that Mount Home and so forth need. Some of those things are shipped in ways that are then dispersed through all 3 schools. The way this allocation is done is either it's particular to exactly the objects, like if we know how many of the objects are being bought for each school, we will break it out that way. But in other cases where it's like one item that's basically like a service that's used by all 3 schools, we break it up by the ADA of the school, in other words, the enrollment of the school. And then that's proportional to that. So it's a $1,000 thing, 54% goes to Endeavor, that's $540 in that case, and so forth, and it goes down that. And you'll see the allocation in the packet that explains how that is allocated at this point. And that's based on, like I say, enrollment. ADA is the average daily attendance. That's basically enrollment less absences. So it's the net amount of attendance for each of the students we have to the school. So it's basically enrollment with a little less of the absences taken out. But that's the way it's done. So all of those you'll see are broken out throughout it. So once in a while you get something that's just Mountain Homes or just Endeavors, it'll be 100% to them. But the one thing that sometimes you'll have an item that has both, like we bought computers and then we bought a contract to service them. So those will go to 2 different objects. One is the equipment itself, the other is the service. So it gets complicated, but at least I think this is, the best way to see it in that much detail. Most of these are recurring items. I just want to, let's go to page 11, I'll go there. Just begin, go ahead, Mike.
And just so you know, as a board, we are making purchases real time. And so this board approves every single purchase that we make. However, it's approving them after the fact because it's impossible to do business with projecting forward, and that wouldn't be doable. But it is an important part of the process. It's sort of the final of all the checks and balances. The final stage of that is this board seeing all of the warrants and dealing with any of them, asking questions of them if they see things that they have questions of, and then approving the warrants here.
Yeah, and we have an internal procedure that makes sure that things that are purchased are approved by the authority, to be Mike, and that they're looked at by me and my staff to make sure that they're appropriate, that they're all properly, that they're appropriately priced and things like that. So that all happens. Mike approves them. When we're audited, they look through, they pick a selection of these to audit to make sure we've done that very thing that's audited every year. And so I just picked this one on 11 as a big item, $68,000 item. That's to self-insured schools in California. I'm just mentioning this one because it's relatively large. And that's the insurance that we pay through SISC, the self-insured schools in California. That's for all of our employees. And it's broken down by its various subcategories of where that's supposed to go. So every month we have a payment like that. And then the amount of the amount of the money that each of the persons putting aside to cover that. So we cover $13,000 for each of our employees, coverage for that year for the premiums. And then that's deducted from this after the fact. So this is the raw number. And then the other numbers are the $13,000 per person is subtracted on an 11-month basis after the fact through payroll deductions. So I just wanted to show you that some of these you're going to see are mostly recurring. That's going to happen a lot. You're going to see AAA business because that's who we buy our supplies from. There are all sorts of things. So sometimes something will pop up that's pretty unusual, and I didn't see a whole lot of that this time. There's also just cell phone reimbursements and mileage, a lot of pretty standard stuff, but not standard to the new board members that haven't seen this before. So I'm ready to answer any questions you might have on what a particular item is. Then at the end, the board approves them in mass. There's one big number. Oh, the other one thing I do want to mention is this goes into the last fiscal year and comes into the current fiscal year. So it is overlapping between fiscal years. Because last year, our last board meeting was prior to the end of the year. And so there were checks that were issued in May and June, but no, June in this case. And then July and August for this year. So you are seeing two periods of time, but you still with the parameters that we're talking about today. So. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Jody, for all that information. I promise this does get easier to look through as
Get used to it.
you do get used to it as time goes on. So it seems there were no questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrant report for the time period indicated on the agenda. Do I have a first?
Mary Mellon, motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
This is Jason Smith. I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. I'll make you get out a roll call.
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody.
Aye.
Lisa. Aye. Jason.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to action item 13, the 2024-2025 amendments to the Western Sierra Charter Schools allocation policy.
Yes, and I'm sorry that we didn't have the names of who to go to on here in the future. You'll see that on your agenda. This is a Jody item.
Okay. I'm going to share screen again. Okay, so here's the allocation policy. This is a draft. This has not changed from last year, just for information purposes, because the ADA and the enrollment stays pretty much the same. So this is always an estimate. It's an estimate looking forward into the year of what we think it's going to be, and so far it's pretty close to that anyway. But we need to be ready to operate right off the bat to get these schemes rolling. So these are the allocation. I'll just describe it pretty quick and run through really fast. Because this has a lot to do with how, about how we just operate, and it's really pretty helpful to the whole system. So the allocations, I'll just read it there. There's a lot of essential facilities, goods, and services that are purchased and shared between Mountain Home, Glacier, and Endeavor, and it's necessary for us to establish an equitable cost allocation model to fairly share these expenses. This allocation policy takes into consideration school enrollments, building demand, and staff demand. Being that these factors change over time, the WSCS board will review this policy annually. Like I say, this is the same one as last year, but we still want to look at it annually. So first of all, in the section under cost allocations, number one, when it's an Oakhurst only purchase, so it's going to be shared between Mountain Home and Glacier in Oakhurst. The split is 71% and 29%. That's based on the size of the enrollments, okay? Then, and that applies to utilities, office supplies, inspection supplies, facility costs, and other shared expenses. Number two, for the cost of Fresno only, it's 100% Endeavor, because it's the only school that resides here, so that's easy. Then, for the costs noted in 1 and 2 above, if they are shared among all schools, the allocation will be 33% Mountain Home, 13% to Glacier, and 54% to Endeavor. Again, that's all 3 schools. ADAs combined, then divided by the number for each school, and that's the allocation. Okay, and then number 3, their audit services will be paid as billed. So when the auditors come in and do their work, they know what they're looking at, they bill us by school, and we pay it that way, right? Then legal services are allocated, if they're not told to us that there's a specific school or an event, we'll divide it the same way, allocated the 33 to 13, 54. Classified administrative staff will be paid by Mountain Home, Glacier, and Endeavor proportional to fraction of time worked. So if there is work that a shared staff is doing, like me, for example, I am working for all 3 schools, so I'm doing the 54, the 33, 13, 54. That's me all the time because I'm the one doing that. Now, if you have staff that's hourly, they are paid according to what they say they did because they're actually writing down, I work for Mountain Home or I work for Glacier. A lot of the staff is, of course, just working for Endeavor or just working for Mountain Home. But sometimes you'll have staff that's coming up the hill, down the hill to do some work, and we make sure we cover that as well. And then, see, number 7, non-payroll special education costs that are not specifically applicable to a particular student are allocated with a 33, 13, 54. Obviously, if it's a student, we know what school they're in, and we charge it to that school. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But that's the approval. The auditors look at this, and then they look at our costs during the year when they pull them, and then they go, did you follow this policy? And if we did, yay, we're good. And if we didn't, we better be able to explain why. There might be a particular issue relating to that where we happen to know it was 50-50 or something. Then we'll note that on the actual expenditure.
Jody may have mentioned this, I'm sorry if I didn't catch it, but we bring this to you every year because the enrollment numbers change every year, and that's what drives the various allocation percentages. So every year it's going to be a little bit different.
And this year was close enough that we decided not to change it because as soon as we change it, it's just change back.
So the enrollment
I'm thinking it'll
pretty,
come right
pretty
now.
steady, right?
It's close enough. So if it's within a couple of percentage points, it's not a big deal. The auditor says, well, it's whatever is administratively feasible, and we made that choice based on reasonable facts.
To tie it back to the previous action item, this is why some of the line items are broken out. Right. Pursuant to
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any questions before we move on to take action? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the allocation policy.
This is Mary Mallon. I motion to approve the allocation policy.
Thank you, Mary. Do I hear a second?
This is Jason Smith, I'll second that.
Thank you, Paula.
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary, Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Jason.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to number 14, the Prop 28 Art and Music Funding Report. Jody?
Okay, thank you. And I will share again. Okay, so here are 3 reports. Mountain Home, Glacier, and Endeavors are all on here. This is for the Proposition 28 Arts and Music School Funding Annual Report. The first 3 we got was last year. That was a voter-approved proposition, Proposition 28. And it just set aside money out of the money we normally would have received to be spent on arts and music specifically. We spent no money of that last year because the way that we were supposed to spend it was not really decided by CDE to give us really good instruction on how to spend it. because there's a non-supplant question in there, meaning you're supposed to spend the money on arts and music, but not on arts and music you were already funding before you got the money, which of course is difficult to ascertain necessarily because there's all sorts of particulars that go into that, like what did you mean by that? Is it staff specifically? Is it musical instruments, art, whatever it might be? So we decided not to spend any of that money. We have 30 years to spend it. So we're gonna wait until the final rules are in and decide to spend it once we actually feel like we're, not out on a wire trying to spend this money. So it's zero on everything. That's a report that shows zero, but we do need to get this approved by the board, so I'm just asking for action to approve these reports. Now, yeah, that was based on last year's numbers, but we just need to approve it. Last year we discussed it, nothing was spent, but it just does need to be officially approved by the board.
Thank you, Judy. Are there any questions about the report? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the Prop 28 Arts and Music Funding Report.
So moved by Bernie.
Thank you, Bernie. Do I have a second?
So yeas, I second motion.
Thank you, Cody. Holly?
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to number 15, the Glacier High School Charter Petition. This is Mike.
Yes, thank you. So you have included in your packet the charter petition for Glacier High School. As the veterans know, charters live in 5-year increments. And at the conclusion, or as we're coming into the conclusion of year 5, we have to have a charter petition reauthorized. Every charter petition has to have approval from a local school district school board. And so here at Endeavor, that would be, it's chartered with Fresno Unified. In Oakhurst, Mountain Home and Glacier are chartered with Yosemite Unified. And so Glacier, the current charter for Glacier will come to an end at the end of June of 2025. And so I presented at our last board meeting rather thoroughly, I think, on this, so I will not go into the full presentation on the charter again. But just to say that the process is, as we are, for staff, as we are anticipating needing to reauthorize our charter, is that we send our current charter off to our legal counsel and have them make sure it's all updated and current with current legal requirements. We gather and freshen our data that we present in the charter, and then we bring it back and rewrite where it needs to be rewritten, stand on and affirm where it still speaks to the program, making sure that the current charter we're presenting is true to what our program is. It's 5 years after the last time we had a charter. Have we changed? Have we gone in a direction that we need to recognize in the new document? That's the process we go through to freshen up the charter. And that's been done for the Glacier Charter that you have in front of you. The document that I'm asking you to approve today is the same document that that I briefed you on formally in June. We have as a staff presented this charter to Fresno Unified, and they have received it, and so they are working with it now. They have legal regulatory timelines that give them the opportunity to interact with the document, check with their legal counsel, do whatever they need to do to determine the status of the charter. And then it will appear before their board in 2 coming meetings. And so we have Bernie here with us on our board currently, and he also is a board member for Yosemite Unified. And so he will be with the rest of his colleagues on Yosemite Unified interacting with this document over the next number of months. Bernie, at that point, is there anything you'd like to contribute to this, my briefing on this?
No, you said it, Michael. I know lawyers kick it around a little bit, and then, I think we're gonna, assume the Unify, we just had our September board meeting last night, so this will be on the agenda in October, probably kind of a first reading as an informational item, and then, November, I would expect it to be approved. So that's my expectation. I'm only one of 5 votes, but I do set the agenda, so I know it will be on the agenda.
Thank you. So, so I'm asking for the board to take action in approving this charter so that it has official approval from our board, and happening at the same time that their board is also looking at it. Before we go to that, is there any questions that anybody would have on this document? It's rather large. If you, I know the current board members are more familiar with it. The new folks, I would encourage you, if you've not already done so, to just read through it and just familiarize yourself. It's a statement. It's a charter, and so it's an official statement of what our outline of what our school program is, who we serve, and how we serve them. And so that's what you have in front of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions or any discussion that you want to have? Before moving on? Okay. We'll move on to action item number 15, the Glacier High School Charter Petition. I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
This is Cody Davis, I motion to approve the action.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Mary Mellon, I second.
I was forgetting to do this, but is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
Bernie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Jason.
Aye. Motion carries. So we'll move on to the number 15, which are the reports, starting with the executive director's report.
Thank you very much. So first on my list to just bring to your attention, and the reason I have number 1, Yosemite School District's upcoming board meetings, is because of the Glacier Charter. So as it appears right now, October 7th is the first meeting. We'll be looking at the document, and then it'll appear to be on their agenda on November 18th. There are timelines that they're aware of that they need to keep, and so that fits within those timelines. And I share those with you because it's wonderful and invited. If as board members you can come to those meetings just to be there and support. I don't anticipate that there would be any official duty that you need to speak to, but it's comforting for your executive director to have friends. And so those are there for your consideration. Item number 2 is board notebooks. I wanted to let you know that Holly and I are working on preparing for each board member a collection of documents that are relative to your work as a board member. And things like our board bylaws, things like board policies, perhaps a statement, an outline on rules of the Brown Act, which is open meeting law that we have to follow in California. So a variety of those things that we already have some list that we want to collect. And so we're working on preparing this for you. There's 2 ways we could do this, and maybe we could just get your input on this. One way would be that we prepare physical binders for you with hard copy documents. And then when there's an update or a change or an addition, we would bring hard copies and you would add those to the binder to keep your board binder current. Another way we could do this would be to do it electronically, and I suppose perhaps web-based, where it would have all of those documents in some sort of electronic PDF form or something. And then when we're updating them there, and you would access it through the web portal. I suppose, Holly, is that what you're
That's
thinking?
correct, yeah, and I know Mike and I are happy to do whatever you guys want. If you'd rather have physical copies of everything, we can certainly do that. I was thinking it would probably be a little bit simpler to make updates on an electronic version than it would in, 6, 7 binders, but again, whatever you guys prefer, we will.
It really is, this is intended to be a tool in support of the work that you all are doing. So it really needs to be how you would like to have it. So is there any sense, anybody have any preference on how it's done?
I prefer electronic if that's, I think that would be one less thing to lose. And that actually reminds me, I don't know if the new board members haven't set up with Western Shore Charter School email accounts, but that would be a good thing.
Thank
to
you.
do before they leave.
Right, so I don't believe they would have by now, but they're going to be, all of you as new members are going to get your name at WSCS family. And then we really want to only communicate with you from then on, other than by cell phone when we need to communicate that way, email-wise, only through that email address.
Yeah, that's important for public records reasons, so we don't want to be conducting core business through the official email, right, channels. Yes. Not to use your personal email, just in case.
Eric, did you have something to add?
If there are documents that you wanna house in like one spot, we can create a shared drive that you could distribute, whoever would access on the Google Drive, those documents.
That was my thought.
Was it Google Drives thing?
And then we could, with their school email,
Correct.
join that to them.
So I've heard electronic, is that agreeable to?
Would there be a physical copy anywhere? I mean, like, would anybody hold a physical copy anywhere?
So most of the items that would be in this folder are items that are already posted on the website. So again, all of our board policies, all of our charter petitions, the MOUs, the LCAPs, contact information for school staff. So no, there wouldn't be a physical copy with all of that stuff compiled together.
It's already mostly, like, only electronic right now?
It is.
Okay. We have hard copies of those things, but even as she mentions, 3 different charters and those LCAPs, that's already a binder that's that thick. So that, I appreciate, when we were in our discussions earlier, I wasn't even thinking about, oh yeah, the charters too, and it's just a lot of hard copy.
But if you're wanting hard copies, they could print your own.
Absolutely,
Sure,
anytime you want a hard copy of anything, we would provide that for you. So,
Sounds like the way to go.
Yeah.
is that agreeable? Okay, well, great, we don't need to vote on it, we're just trying to get the
Yeah.
board's pleasure here, so, great, thank you for that, that's helpful. Item number 3 is building projects update. We are, as the existing board knows, new board members, we now know, we're in the variety of a number of building updates. So starting in Oakhurst, for over a year, we have been in the process of being able to build restrooms. We need additional restrooms in Oakhurst, and we still haven't been able to break ground on that project. And it's in Madera County, and we are fighting towards that end. And I continue to believe that, so John can report this to Oakhurst staff, that we will be getting this done. It's going to end up being that the work's going to get done during the school year. We were hoping to have it done over summer. Well, we don't have people on site, so that's still moving forward, just very, very slowly, but we will have new restrooms here sometime in the near future. Additionally, in Oakhurst, we want to build out about 3,000 square feet of additional instructional and office space. This would be an addition that would attach to our current building. It's not a separate building, it's a remodel, an add-on that would something like provide 2 more classroom spaces and 5 to 6 office spaces. And so we are, right now, what we are putting in front of the county is a variance. We have to, for this particular project, it encroaches on a setback line, and so we have to get approval from the county for a variance. Once we have that, then we will be drafting plans and submitting plans to the county to be able to do that. So those are the big building projects in Oakhurst. I wanted to give an update here for Fresno also, but is there any questions on the Oakhurst side before we go to Fresno?
Where's it on the building?
So the long side, backside, the long backside of the building is kind of a long rocky cut.
Yeah.
It would be building out from there about 30 feet from the building, running all the way almost to where our maintenance shop is.
That's something that you're actively trying to get permits for.
Yes, correct. We're gonna have to move the water tank. We're gonna have to get this variance because it comes too close to Rocky Cut. But we are confident that we will get all of that solved too.
Great.
So yeah, really great. So update on building project here in Fresno. We do not own this building. Western Sierra Charter Schools leases this building. And all of our folks here, our friends here, part of Endeavor, realize how underserved we are in this building. We are keenly aware of it, and we are working on finding the answer for a new school home. We've been actively involved in that for a number of years, and we continue to be pursuing, working with a realtor, pursuing the answer to where Endeavor's forever, we hope, or at least near forever home will be that will adequately serve the school's needs in regards to square space, instructional space, God willing, we hope, some outside space perhaps. All of these are variables that we're looking for. The challenge, and one of the reasons it's such a long process, without getting into the gritty details of the nature of our kind of school, we are a public school, but we have zero extra dollars for building subsidy, for capital development and building subsidy, which is commonly available in various forms for regular public schools and even other types, seat-based, not independent study-based, but seat-based charter schools. There are other dollars because there's a recognition that schools need building space. Because of the nature of our school, the way it's worked out in law to this point is there is no extra dollars. The dollars we have are what we accrue through our attendance, the regular funding of the school. So, okay, that's good, but it's limited. It's a very limited number. We don't have as much money to work with to find the right building, but we are working with what we have and pursuing. So I feel for it. I feel for the staff. I love everybody down here even more because of what is endured by the students, the staff and the parents, and in a very tight area. So thanks to Endeavor folks for the good work that happens here. Are there any questions in regards to the building search and what's involved with that for Endeavor?
Are there ways to find more funding?
We are looking, we've been looking, and we get ideas about possibilities. Other than, so what we think most straightforwardly is probably what it would be is finding a mortgage somewhere if we were to buy a place, and then we go to the private lending markets to get a mortgage. We know a charter school in Fresno that, we don't know how they did it, but they did a big project through, getting a bond.
Are we no longer pursuing something with I can't remember the name.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so that agency, that group that does work for buildings specifically for charters is now called Grow Schools, and they would work with us. But Jody and I have drilled down into their model, and we're not as attracted to their model because of the long-term cost escalators that are involved. They would help us get into a building pretty straight away, but we would be involved with a 40-year agreement that, when it's all said and done, is extremely, extremely expensive.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
Very long term.
right. Is there anything to add to that, Jody?
Well, over the long, it's according to how long the bonds are issued for, it could be 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever it is, but at this point, it's 40 years. And so the idea of that bond was we were supposed to put the school into our name at the end of the bond period. Well, when it was 20 years, that was a reasonable thing, but now that it's extended to 40, it changes all the other parameters of the financial agreement. It raises 3% every year, things like that, over 40 years, that's a darn big number. So, I went through and did an analysis of it, we talked to them again, and some of those little factoring points were discussed, and it was true that that really was what was gonna happen. So we're like, that's a lot, and, they agreed, it was a lot. And so it's not impossible to do it that way, if we look at it like a lease and don't really expect the property back. But there are other options available that we're gonna go into in more detail. But we're not excluding them, but it's more of a sober approach. Initially, it all sounded very good because, like I say, when you take, anything, inflation rate over 10 years, it doesn't look so big, but over 40, it looks a lot bigger. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Plus, we would have to stay in that agreement for that length of time, and that's a long commitment, Yeah.
So it's a challenging way forward. But it for me personally, it is my number one, for whatever it's worth. It's my number one priority. It's so self-evident that we need another facility here, but it is a challenging pathway forward.
And we do have
Staying with it.
multiple possibilities that we're looking at all the time.
Yeah, we continue. We've been here all day because we had other meetings lined up on this very issue. So we're working on it, friends. And so sorry for the long haul it's been here, and we appreciate what you do. But we're going to need to continue here until we find something else. So, yeah. Upcoming trainings. There's a whole host of things that are happening here before our next board meeting that I'd just like to let you know of. We have one of our staff, Nicholas Tevelton, who is at a school safety training currently, a number of days, a conference safety training. And he is our school safety supervision personnel. And so he's there being freshened up and updated on school safety matters. There is an upcoming technology conference, and I'm sorry, I don't recall the name. Do you remember the name of it?
It's like CITE, I think California, I don't know. Technology, somewhere in there.
This is one of the key school technology conferences in the state, and so we'll be sending two of our technology staff, Melissa Culver and Erin Kiang, to this conference here a couple weeks, I believe. Also, a regular annual conference for independent study charter schools that we attend, a number of us attend, is A+, stands for Association of Personalized Learning Schools. And we've been long members of this good organization. And this is other charters that do independent study work. It's a great network. There's lots of us across the state of California. And so this is an annual updating conference that a number of us will be attending. There is a human resources training conference. I think it's about 3 days, put on by another group that we're closely associated with in California, that we're going to be sending Polly to as our human resource staff. So this is, as a charter school, we feel high priority on making sure we're staying current and with what is going on in the greater public schooling world. And so these are ways that we do it. And there's a lot of those things clearly happening like in the next month and a half. So one other thing that's not on my list, and you can deal with this as you desire. chairperson. We would like to ask if we could move this meeting 15 minutes later. It's currently scheduled through the year to be 3 o'clock, but as Bernie experienced, he probably would have been happy to have all the second graders stay in the class with him. But Mr. Slos's class goes right up to 3. And so if we could move this to 3:15, I'll leave that to you to deal with, but that would be a
Does
request.
that need to be an action item, or can we just,
I think you can just do it if the board agrees.
does anybody have any issues with starting 15 minutes later? That seems, I think that's fine.
Okay?
I really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Speaking of timing, we've been doing this about an hour, but it is a pretty short agenda. Do we want to take a quick break, or do we want to power through and get out of here a little bit earlier? All right, let's go.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I think that's it for you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
And let's move on to the CBO report again.
Okay, me again, so I will share screen again. So because of the time of year, we just started, I did bring you a budget update that has this year so far and then comparison variances to where we thought we would be. I'm just showing you what our budget is that you already approved from last year again to refresh everybody, plus the 3 board members, it's the first time to see it. So this is a useful document, I think, because it really gives you an idea of the format of the school, how we're organized and so forth, and what we're spending, the money we get in, the money we spend, and how many reserves, how much money we have in reserve. So I'll just go through this and please ask questions. This is open to discussion. Let me try to make that a little bit bigger. So. And almost see that right? Sort of. You can look in here. Why do this? Here. Okay, well, yeah, that sort of worked. Okay. So this is the revenue section. So yeah, the revenues that we received, yeah, Mountain Home, Glacier, Endeavor, and then combined total in the column. So the different types of revenue we get are all listed on those different rows. And the thing we get, the biggest chunk of money we get for any of, let me go back. Western Sierra Charter Schools is nothing more than the 3 schools individually. There is no holding company, there's no other revenue, there's no other expenditures than what occurs in each individual school. Some entities will have, like General Motors Corporation has a holding company, and then it has all of its subsidiaries, but the holding company has some assets and revenues and expenditures. We don't have such a thing. We are a CMO, it's a charter maintenance organization. Some of those have something like that, a separate organization that then charges their costs to each of the schools and does the general work. We don't do that. We allocate everything specific to the schools, and the school pays everything through that allocation that we just discussed and approved. So that's something I think is helpful for you to know. So everything you see here is the entirety of Western Sierra Charter Schools. It's 3 schools. So when you see the audit report at the end of the year, it'll just have those 3 schools, and there is nothing other than that. It's part of Western Sierra Charter Schools. Okay, so each of Mike's salary, any of the shared things are all split into these schools. They're all paid proportionally by the schools. So that can be useful to understand when you look at this. So the combined number on the right column there is everything that we're receiving and spending. Budgetarily, it'll change over the year, but as a projected budget, that's the whole thing. There is nothing else. So and so when it comes to revenue, the biggest amount of revenue we get is called LCFF, which is Local Control Funding Formula. That's the way the state pays us, and it's really it's based on ADA, which is average daily attendance, which is enrollment less absences. So we had, so if you see on there, the ADA for each of the schools, Mountain Home, the projected ADA is 211.53, Glacier 79.5, and Endeavor 333.38. The other interesting thing between the 3 schools is Mountain Home is a K-8. Glacier is just a high school, and then Endeavor is actually K-12, TK-12, excuse me. And so, that's a little bit different. They're a little bit different animals each, different sizes. So, so the LCFF money we get in, it's state aid, block grant, EPA, and in lieu of property tax. Those are the three bits of money that we get in that are the biggest chunk of money, and that comes based on our average daily attendance. I can go into great detail if you want to know what each one of those is, but that's how the state pays us. Then there's lottery money that comes in, interest on the money we already have, other state funding, mental health, there's a pass-through that we get from that. There's a Proposition 28 arts and music, there's local revenue, and then there's special education revenue. There's also a thing there called State STRS contribution on behalf. That's a paper transaction right there because it's what the state puts into STRS on our behalf. They put a certain money in STRS. STRS is the state teachers retirement system. So the teachers get are being, they're putting in their own money. The school's putting in money on their behalf, and then the state, separate from the school, puts money in on their behalf. This is the amount that the state is doing on behalf of the teachers for each of those schools. It's shown as a revenue item. It's also shown as an expenditure item. It's a pass-through. It nets to zero, but you have to gross out on each side. Okay, that's one of those weird little accounting entries that I'm just showing you. It's a big number as in total, but it sort of grows and it changes year by year according to what the state decides. This is a projection of what we think it is. So, okay, so Mountain Home has 2,774,000, Glacier 1,257,000, Endeavor 4,651,000. So you see that you can just see those numbers proportionally are based on the ADA. They're just bigger or smaller according to the ADA. So down on the expenses, you can say, please ask questions. I do want to state, there's some notes there, in the upper right. The LCFF calculator, which also projects out future, what the state believes the future COLA, cost of living adjustment, is going to be on the amount of money they get per student. Usually it has a number in there, some sort of positive number, we hope. It has 0 for the next 2 years. This year, we got 1.07% increase because there's a budget crisis in California, you probably heard about it. 0 is what they project for next year and 0 for the following year. So they do not believe there'll be a cost of living adjustment. Actually, I think we are lucky to have survived not getting reduced this year. So getting a cut. So we'll see whatever happens with the budget. Maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get worse. But right now, we shouldn't expect to get more money next year unless, of course, we have more students, and then that's how we get money. So if it stays the same, we have the same number of students, we'll have the same amount of income next year. Of course, inflation happens, and so that means that our expenses will increase while our revenue doesn't, if it's 0. So that's just something. Of course, we have reserves set aside for just such the time as this, and so it should be okay. I just wanted to note that. Because it's a big deal, and we have to be cognizant of the future. And so right now, the inflation rate's about under 3% generally. That's where we're supposed to be at. It fluctuates, but so we should expect to be able to absorb 3% loss of that loss. We won't be losing big chunks. It'll be 3% higher next year at least than it is next year, then it was this year, next year, more the year after that, if inflation stays where it's at. Hopefully it'll get lower. So this is just explaining all the different textbooks, there's instructional supplies, there's building. I'll go to building now, just to show, because Mike did discuss that. In the current year, you'll see under the first 2 columns, Mountain Home and Glacier, we do have a number there that's being expended. We don't expect the next project to be completed in the year, so we have put aside $355,000 for Mountain Home and $145,000 for Glacier because they're sharing that facility up there, and that's the allocation split between the two, just to show that we expect there should be about $500,000 in expenditures for those in this current fiscal year. It'll probably end up costing more than that, but that's what'll hit in the current fiscal year. That's hopefully, as long as we start the project, that would be good. So, for Endeavor, we're still showing 0 because we have a lot of options open. We don't know what they're going to be. One could be a lease, one could be a purchase, one could be this other, lease to own. And, if it's a lease, it's not gonna be in the building improvement section. It's gonna be just in the leases that are already there. Currently, Endeavor spends, about $190,000 is the lease for this facility in a year. That's how much we spend for this. So if it's a bigger facility, that number would go up. It would just be in that section. But we're hoping to get something rolling in that direction, one way or the other. And of course, if it's a loan, then we'll have a big loan, and the expenditure will be proceeds from that loan, and it will really show up the same way. So, then we'll go down to the bottom of our expenditures. The reason, so you see like total expense, we have $2,884,000 for Mountain Home, $1,397,000 for Glacier, $4,402 for Endeavor. You'll see that the revenue less expense is negative for Mountain Home. Well, that's because we're spending $355,000 in prior year money this year to cover those expenses for the building project. So that's why at the bottom of this thing, if you look down the column, I actually adjust back out for the one-time revenue and expenses that I think they're just one-time and not ongoing expenses. And so that shows you that if we didn't have those expenses, Mountain Home would make $245,000 above, in the black rather than the red in this case, because of those expenditures. Okay. Another thing that I think is, and then you'll see the other two schools, Endeavor doesn't have any change. It's 249 and it's still 249. Glacier does have a change. Now, in the current year, as I've always said about Endeavor, about Glacier, it's just the high school, and there's 82 kids at that high school. So it runs tight, it always does. And we can adjust those numbers at any point. So you can, right now we are very much at a break even on Glacier. But if you also notice, Glacier has a 50% reserve, which is a very large reserve. It can operate for half a year without any income and still float. It would still be above. So half of its annual expenditures are in reserve. So that's a nice healthy number. That's why we keep it there. So we can absorb some losses if, in fact, we're not getting COLAs or if we're getting negative COLAs. It'll be okay for quite a while. So that's the point. And Mountain Home being the grandfather of Mountain Home is one of the oldest charter schools in the state. It's number 63 out of 2,600. So it's been around, it's 30 years old. It came on around right after the law was passed about charter schools. So it has had some time to build a reserve, and it has an 85% reserve. And then Endeavor's doing great. It has a 46% reserve right now. So they're all doing very well in that respect. At the end of the year, they're expected, you can see the numbers where it says ending balance future carryover, 80% for Mountain Home, 40% for Glacier, and 51.9% for Endeavor. So that's the point, is we're not too big to fail. We're not going to be bailed out. We're a nonprofit. When no one comes in and saves us, a school district, if they were to go out of business, well, the state would not allow that. The government would stop that. A charter school is a nonprofit. It is independent, and therefore needs to survive on its own acumen and its own revenues and expenditures. So that's why we keep a good big reserve there. So that's it, I think. I tried to give you an overview of all three schools. If there's any questions, please let me know. There's a lot of little particulars there. Obviously, everything is there. Who does we pay the Yosemite and Fresno an oversight fee every year to do the WSCS. They get 1% of our revenues. Our LCFF specifically, those revenues are 1%. And we pay 3.5% to Madera County for business services that they provide. Of revenues, LCFF revenues. So that actually is a good deal for us, because if we pay for that, for more staffing, it would cost a lot. And so it's definitely a good deal to go with them, plus from an audit perspective, we're transparent. Our overseers do our books. So we like that. We want to be as transparent as possible. We always, are making sure that everything's on, as transparent as possible. Plus, there's a lot of complexity to the rules that come down from the state every year. And so it's good to have partners that are going through the same thing. So that's it for my report. If there's any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Jody.
I will offer Jody's office to you, any board members who ever have questions and would like to meet Jody. He is always ready to sit down with you to answer questions, because obviously the financial part's very complex. And so if anybody ever has an interest, he's always ready to sit and work with you through it.
Are there any questions for Jody before we move on to the report? So the next item is the Oker staff liaison report.
Hey, everyone.
Are we gonna do
John first.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
You can go out of order if you,
No, I just,
you're so excited.
sorry, John.
That's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. If I haven't met you, I'm John Slose. This is my 4th year at Mountain Homeschool. I'm an advising teacher. And then you saw me with my 1st and 2nd grade enrichment class, and then I also do 4th and 5th grade Lego robotics. And yeah, so it's good to see you all. This is the beginning of our 4th full week of school, and the first 4 weeks have been largely meeting with families and doing testing. So new families are labor intensive because we have to meet with them, get their curriculum, kind of get them going. And the families that have been around, hopefully last year, we got them everything they needed. So they just, started straight away, doing their schooling. And then, we eventually meet with them, but our new families are a priority. And so for me, last year, I only had a few new families. This year, I have quite a few new families. So that has been keeping me busy. We are, like I said, we are doing a lot of testing. And so the NWEA testing is also another thing that keeps us very busy. We want to get our testing done by the end of September. And that can be labor intensive too. If you have a lot of little ones, you're meeting with them individually and helping them navigate the computer process of, taking a online test. So the other thing is today we started enrichment classes, and so for Mountain Homeschool. And so it was a very, very busy day, very fun, very full parking lot, very busy bathrooms. So it'll be great to see those bathrooms sometime this year. And then other thing we have going on is not this next Tuesday, the Tuesday after the last Tuesday of the month, we have staff meetings. So our campus is closed, and then we have professional development, we have staff meetings, and then Mr. DeCarly, Mr. and Mrs. DeCarly, their 2nd year here, he does a PE day at Camp Oakhurst, which I wish I could go to that, but I'm in a staff meeting. So, so that's a great chance for kids to go to Camp Oakhurst and do really fun games with Mr. DeCarly. Another thing we have coming up is we're going to be going, Mountain Homeschool is going to be going to ride the Sugar Pine Railroad in Fish Camp. And so far we've got I reserved 75 spots, but as of Saturday, we already had 60 people sign up. So I think we're gonna need to get some more spots. But that's gonna be in the end of September. We will be going to Fish Camp to ride the Sugar Pine Railroad, which is a great experience. So do you have any, that's it for me. Do you have any questions?
Sounds like.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. All right, now we're on to the Oak Ridge Principal's report, Eric.
All right. Sorry about that. I'd like to stand up here and look at you guys.
It's great because we just watched with my family again, Cars movie.
Yeah.
And the Cars movie, you may remember Lightning McQueen come through there like.
Good job. So, those of you that maybe don't know me, I have been working with our organization, Mountain Home School, Glacier High School, Endeavor, Western Sierra Charter Schools. This is my 18th year. Started as an advising teacher with Mountain Home, then did some advising with Glacier and principal there, and then Nancy Garcia and I worked with getting Endeavor going here when it was a resource center and then beyond. Love what I do. So welcome to all the new board members. My own kids went from kindergarten all the way through high school, through Mountain Home and Glacier High School. They're young adults now. And yeah, so it's great to be here. Just some highlights of just some things that have happened recently. So I think, I'm not sure whose brainchild it was, if it was Nancy Garcia or Melissa Culver's, but we had a new employee onboarding process for all of our new employees, and I think the feedback was really good. We brought them in a couple days early and did some just kind of general training at both campuses that gave them a chance to kind of meet each other and kind of get indoctrinated into who we are as an organization. I thought that was really good. We had an all-staff meeting where all the Fresno staff came to Oakhurst, and we had trainings. Holly did an outstanding job with HR. All of the different presenters got a lot of really good feedback from the staff also regarding that day. We've done some other training, CPR and first aid. We started math classes on August 26th, and most of the Glacier classes kind of got started. And then we had a Glacier Day, which I wanted to show some pictures, but we were so focused on getting that Glacier Day done. I don't know if we got pictures of that day, but basically we brought all of our high school students on campus, and they did some initial testing that they did in the morning. And then the seniors met with our school counselor and also the local community college counselor while the rest of the students were testing. And then we fed them lunch. And we had a rotation of various activities that we did with them. I met with them to kind of just talk about, in kind of a fun way, kind of things they need to know, rules, and just things that they needed to be aware of, kind of policy-wise as an organization that maybe if they were coming to us, they weren't familiar with. We had just kind of a fun getting to know you station. We had Aaron Keing provide tech support for, or not tech, but kind of general technology, like things that they need to know being in high school that they have access to. Melissa Culver did an AI, artificial intelligence, kind of, we worked a lot last year in terms of developing some guidelines and for our students. And she kind of presented that, like, ethical uses of AI and the things that we're still learning. And I feel like, and then Greg Hill met with each individual grade level and kind of gave them some highlights of things to pay attention for that day. So I thought it was a really good event. And then later that evening, and I have some pictures of that, we did a back to school night and also a 30-year celebration at Mountain Home. It's already mentioned, one of the first original 100 charter schools. We're number 63 in it. We just finished our 30th year at the beginning of September. So that was kind of exciting to both celebrate that. But that back to school night was both for Mountain Home and Glacier families. And it's really kind of a low key event, opportunity for kids to get to know each other, families to start to get to know each other, and for staff to start to get to know maybe families and new acquaintances. And then then today we started like our enrichment classes. I forgot to mention also, yeah, our math classes for Mountain Home also started back before, but today was kind of our big kickoff day for enrichment classes, and it seemed like it went pretty smooth overall. As Bernie mentioned, there's a lot of coming in, going out, so parking can be a bit of an issue, but it seemed like things went really well. This is just a list of upcoming events that between now and our next board meeting, I don't necessarily need to go through all of it, other than on the 12th of September, we're doing a new parent meeting for Glacier families. Even if they've been with us for Mountain Home, high school is just a different beast for them. John already mentioned our staff days, the field trip, the board meeting, which you've already covered that. If you're available to kind of support Glacier, would love to have you guys be a part of that public hearing on October 7th. Yeah, so there's some really good kind of fun things coming up for our school. I also just want to mention Katie Kelly, who's been a high school advising teacher, is now still high school advising and science teacher, but she's also acting part-time as an assistant principal for me, which has been great. And I didn't put it up here, but Melissa Culver has taken over the technology. I was always the technology administrator for our organization, and it's been really nice. Very thankful for the tech team being able to hand that off. It lowered my stress level tremendously for the beginning of the year, because that is always a high level of stress was for me. Anyway, so it's nice to kind of hand that off. I'm still meeting, and we'll continue to kind of support them as they have questions and things that come up, since I've been here a while. I don't have a picture of Brandon Mallard, who's one of our teachers here in Fresno. He is coming up 2 days a week to provide some classes. Katie Pondart is our school psychologist, and so she is working in both campuses. In the middle, we have Nicole Morrow, who's our new receptionist, and then on the right, we have Amy Smith, who has been teaching for, I think, around 17 years total, but she just recently came from OCI, one of our local schools, and she is a Mountain Home advising teacher and also providing some math instruction. This is our kind of back to school event. Straight out of 1994, we had some fun cupcakes that Kim Meeks helped to put together, and got some fun things related to that. At Camp Oakhurst, we had the pool. We had a good time there at the pool. The staff here had a good time. We got 30 glasses here. They have a big giant water slide, which our students got to go down. And, fun celebration here. That's Aaron Kiang on the right, one of our technology folks. And some more of our staff. So fun. So it was just a great event, just seeing kids getting to know each other, families hanging out. Today was some enrichment, so I took a few pictures of our enrichment classes. And this is Mr. DeCarly came into some of the different classes, did some music with the kids. This is our TKK class, and some more of that's just like my favorite place to visit in the entire world is that age group. They're so excited. Over on the left is Mr. Mallard teaching, I think, Constitution. And then Mr. Sloss on the right with the first and second graders. And there's some temporary bathrooms that we brought in because we've been wanting to have more than just 2 bathrooms in Oakhurst. And very exciting for us to have like 4 bathrooms. That was like the first day on the right. They were really excited. They had to go check it out, and they were really nice. Not your typical boarding place. So thank you, Mike, for making sure that happened.
Whatever it takes.
Any questions for us or for me?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we're gonna move on now to the president staff liaison report.
I'm gonna follow suit. Eric set the standards. Thank you. All right.
There's like a strange thing over the top of it. Are you sharing your whole screen or?
that is strange. I have no idea what that might be, like, no, I don't know. Curious.
Let me just help you really quick. if you don't
Sure.
mind. Can you stop sharing for a moment? Sure. Okay. Do you have any sound or anything that you're doing?
No.
Okay. I don't know. If I'm not sure what's going on. We'll have to call the tech department, not me. Start with tech.
Nope, no, it doesn't. There we go, okay. Nope, it's a little delay, there we go. So, we also joined the Oakers staff, at the welcome back at the beginning of the year. So this is a couple of pictures highlighting some of our Fresno staff, but, you can see it was a nice big group, going on there. We look forward to having that time of the year to all get together, because it's not very often that we get to do that. We started kind of a different model of the way we're doing staff meetings this year. So we're including a team building portion at our once a month all staff meetings. And so this year we did a STEM challenge, so that's what you're seeing, which was the egg drop challenge. So we randomized teachers or staff into groups of, all staff into groups of 3, and they had half an hour to gather whatever supplies they found throughout the school in either building. They were very secretive and like closed in their office spaces and raided the Harry Potter closet and created all of these different devices. So it's really fun to see like the mix of staff, because teachers and other staff who don't normally always get to work together got to team up in different ways. So it's really fun to see what they came up with, and a lot were our Endeavor space themed. That was fun as well. So that video was one of those.
Almost all made it except for.
Almost all made it, not the no yolks. There actually was a yolk on that one.
So were those raw eggs?
These were raw eggs.
Wow.
That were thrown from Nancy's balcony after they had their 30 minutes. But most were successful, so that was really great.
They named their project.
They named their projects. We had
Catastrophe with the cats.
this was catastrophe.
Somebody had pipes. I don't know where they got.
We had the flash. Yep. There were.
Yeah.
Space station. So it was a fun way to kind of work in a different way together. We also had our launch days. So we had 2 launch days. We had elementary launch day and a high school launch day. And this was a time that families were able to come, and it kind of replaced our initial meetings. And families were able to come and meet with not only their advising teacher, but get to meet with Nancy and myself and go over behavior expectations, get to meet with our math department and pick up their math packets, curriculum, if they had curriculum ready to be checked out. We had some of our leadership students who volunteered to help at the refreshment table on the elementary day and help guide people around. Our Endeavor astronaut showed up as well and was a photo op both at the elementary and high school meetings. He was more of a hit at the high school than we expected, but very fun photo op. And so it was just a great day to have a community feel and back to school kind of event feel. So we had really high participation. We had 93% of our high school families that participated in lunch day. And we had 94% of our TK through 8 families participate in lunch day. Most of the families and staff reported that they preferred this over traditional beginning of the year meetings that they had with families. And most reported that they enjoyed the back to school kind of feel of it all. So it was a fun day. A lot was accomplished in the day, but I think our goal that was accomplished as well was just to give that sense of community and start of the school year feel. And now it is Nancy's turn already.
Next, let's stand up.
This space bar? I think I was using the arrow. or click it.
Hello, I'm Nancy Garcia, principal of Endeavor Charter School. This is my 18th year with our organization.
Isn't it your 19th? Because I thought it was my 18th.
I think it's your 17th.
Okay,
And
I might have lied, sorry.
Let's count. So in the area of building and safety updates, we obviously have a packed house on class days, and so we have started new parking lot communication measures to make sure that we have less impact on Van in our parking lot, so we're trying to communicate more effectively to our families of where to park and how that will go. We started monthly fire drills with different age groups, and so we will continue to do that once a month. We normally notify parents and families through Parent Square when that's happening. Like Eric mentioned, we had CPR training as well. We have a couple of projects going on in the East Building. We're starting, I think, next weekend, an insulation project. But over the summer, this building here in the West, we had a summer wall project to create yet another office space. And we have implemented safety reminders per month during the PLP meetings that we had our first picture day. This is a family picture. They each individually got their pictures, but we had a photographer and it went really well. I think our families were very happy. I just thought it was so cute. I walked in on the family picture. Okay, we also had our high school orientation day. 9th through 11th grade students and any new seniors attended this event. Students, like Eric mentioned, they did the benchmark assessments and also had the various stations. We had a good participation. Something new this year, we had Carson Poole, our 11th grader, speak to the freshman class and kind of gave them a pep talk and encouragement for their new journey. Here are some pictures of our biology class. Mrs. Farada's class are shown here setting up an algae lab. See them busy at work. And Ms. Free's class is learning about the evidence of chemical change during, this was the second day of class. Our classes have started where we have done about 2 weeks worth of classes. So they've been here. Okay, this is fun. Our Endeavor cross country team. We have a large team this year. And one of our female athletes, Julia Jansen, who placed 20th out of 105 athletes at their first cross-country meet last week. Here are our little class right here, our TK, kinder, first grade enrichment classes. They are studying nocturnal animals, and this student was proud of the nighttime scene she created. It is upside down though, just note that. Here's a picture of our 6th grade enrichment class, and they are studying ancient Greece. And so they got all dressed up. This was actually today. Here are a few pictures of our 7th and 8th grade art class with Mrs. Shiro. They're working on the elements of art, and this is specifically working on plants. We have a couple of fundraising opportunities for Endeavor. We have a fundraiser every month that goes towards ASB events, including field trips. And our first one is biology. And so on September 17th, between 9:30 a.m. and 11, show a flyer. It's right across the street, helps us with ASB funds. In October, we're going to be doing chocolate wishes. So we're taking pre-orders for that. Please support us. Okay, upcoming events. In the area of community service, we have our monthly Central Community Food Bank Volunteer Day. So our students and parents and teachers about once a month go to the local food bank and help with the warehouse, and they have different projects for us every month. And then we have an ECCT team, which stands for Endeavor Community Connections Team. This team specifically participates in the Music and Memory Project at the Grove, which is a senior home, and so they learn about Alzheimer's and dementia, use music to connect with the senior residents there, and ongoingly go, I think, twice a month to support that center. And we continue to have Wednesday outings for elementary. The next one, or the first one, I would say, is Reading Rainbow at the library, and so we're asking students to come in and share their favorite book so they can practice speaking with each other and some group work. And on October 30th, there's a storyline field trip as well. In the arts, we have two things coming up. We have our first fall theater production, November 16th. It's also a variety show, so the theater arts classes will have skits with the theme of Charles Dickens. But we're also taking in any acts that would like to be part of it, and so we have auditions on September 20th to be part of a variety show. This is open to any student at Endeavor. And then for high school, there is an exhibit coming up at an event called the Full Vine Festival, Crescent State. And our art students are currently creating art to display for this exhibit, and the theme is agriculture. This is our first year participating, so we're excited. And we have, like Eric mentioned, a Crescent State campus tour scheduled on Halloween, October 31st. And this slide has the link to our newsletter. But we will continue. We will continue this school year with our Explorer trait. So every month we feature on a character trait. The month of September is respect. And any one of our staff members, not just teachers, but receptionists, anybody can nominate a student that displays this particular character trait in September. And then we have partnered with the people you see here on the slide. They have given us freebies for students to give out certificates and prizes. So every month, staff nominate. We have a committee that looks at the nominations, and then we award certificates and also prizes from these vendors. That's it. Thank you. Oh, any questions? No, the last speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. All right, well, our next scheduled board meeting is November 12th, now at 3:15 p.m., so we'll go to that. And now, I think we're ready for adjournment. Is it easy to pull voters?
It's just first and second.
Okay, any motion to adjourn?
Mary Mallett, motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
This is Jason Smith, and I'll second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, and welcome again.
Thank you, folks, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.